I decided I'm going to switch back to my C trumpet from the last episode. As I mentioned, I'm still not loose yet, so I'm going to play a little bit more for you today. This is number 2 in 21 Lip Flexibilities for Trumpet by Nathan Ost. And I really find that these are very helpful for basic flow, but they're good for a lot of other things too. So I'm just going to play the first variation, first couple of lines, and see if I can get into some kind of musical flow with this. So right away, I'm still physically tight, but I'm starting to get mentally more loose. So I'm dancing with this a little bit, and that often helps me. One of my colleagues from the BSO when I was there, who's been retired for a long time now, he's a violinist with the orchestra, and he said, yeah, when I'm warming up, I just, I don't worry about trying to play in tune or being too accurate. I just let myself be loose. And this is, take that to heart. When we try too hard, we kind of form rough places, and then it's hard to smooth those out later on. So what are some of the things that I've been working on? Well, you'll notice, and a great thing about all these little patterns that Mr. Ost has written is they're a musical progression, they're harmonic progression. So when we hear, if I put a tuner on that and I put a drone on it, I can tune to the drone, for example, and that would be a great exercise. Make sure I can control the pitch so I'm exactly in tune and that interval kind of locks in just intonation. But the problem is, when you're playing music, the harmony is always changing, so your pitch center is always changing. So the drone note would have to change, so you'd be playing in tune in that key. And I realize this sounds a lot like music theory, but actually it's a matter of taste. You need to be able to taste it with your ears. So when I'm playing these, I keep on coming back to that G for quite a while. Actually, I play the A, then G, then G, then F sharp. This is the pattern. I'm going to play the bottom notes. So if I use that as a pitch center, listen to the harmony, and that's what I do whenever I'm playing these. I'm trying to play with harmony. I'm hearing the harmony. Now there's an interesting one. On the C trumpet, that note, I'm playing an E, and for most players, that E, on most horns, that note is E on top of the staff is a little bit flat. And it's also, in this case, it's the 5th. And those of you who know about just intonation may realize that the 5th is going to be about 17/100ths of a tone higher than the tuner will show you in order to be in tune with the tonic. So you go up a 5th, that interval is expanded a little bit in order to be physically in tune. So if you just play where the tuner is telling you to put it, you're not getting the whole idea. That's why it's so important to listen to hear it, to learn to listen to the harmony and hear how the interval that you're playing relates to the tonic of wherever you are, or relates to the harmonic context. Now that sounds complicated, but again, it's a matter of taste. So that's something I'm doing, and it really helps me because it distracts me from trying to play the trumpet. Of course, it's nice if you have those skills to begin with, so then you don't get too frustrated, but once you start flowing with this and feeling physically comfortable, that's the next step, is what are you intending to do musically? I'm going to play another one and see if I can make my way through this. This is the second variation, and this one is a little bit lower. So almost all my concentration was on hearing whether the note was in the right place. As I said, you can use a drone for that as a reference and to train yourself to be able to physically do that. But it's great if, and I'm sure there are things out there like this, if you can find a harmonic context. We're melodic instrument players, so we may not be accustomed to playing with, hearing the harmony, but we have to be accustomed to playing with the harmony because mostly we're going to be playing in ensembles. And if you're playing with a pianist, the pianist cannot change the way those notes are placed on the piano. Unfortunately, they're placed in equal temperament, which drives people who play in the orchestra crazy when they have to play with the piano because it's not just intonation anymore. It's not the natural way of playing, it's kind of artificial. And you have to figure out how to try and make it sound good in spite of that. So I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole with the pitch today, but for me it's really valuable because it takes me out of my trumpet playing mentality and puts me in where I'm listening for the harmonic context, as I said, and where I'm going to place those notes. I can hear exactly where the next note needs to go. And if you don't have that skill, yes, work with a tuner. Play with others who play very well in tune. That's a tremendous help. Get whatever kind of resources you can in order to build your ability to hear the intervals accurately. And do a lot of playing and listening. Record yourself and listen to it back. It's going to help you to develop these skills to a great degree. Now there's a lot more we can do, and I'm going to take a risk here, even though I'm still a little bit tight, and play the last one. And now it hangs above the staff. I'm playing a C trumpet. It's going to put me into the upper register, and let's just see what I can accomplish with this. So if you're playing this with good control, if you're a good player, a solid player, an accomplished player, and you can play these without feeling like you're struggling physically, then that sustaining thing that I just did can be very, very helpful to you. You can hear the quality of the sound. You can hear whether you're in tune, as I was just talking about. You can sense whether you're ready to go to the next note. And on this particular one, as I ascend into the upper register, then I drop right back down into the middle register. And this is something I would practice. I sense that. I'm going to back it up about 4 bars from the end and try this again, and then point out what I'm talking about here. So that is a tremendously powerful test to see kind of where you are physically. Because when you're slurring down from the upper register, most people have accumulated a fair amount of mouthpiece pressure. There may be tension in the throat. They maybe have kind of locked their breathing muscles and kind of squeezing the air. And all of those things have to be reversed in order to go into the lower register. Whereas if you keep your ribs flexible, maintain that easy support instead of squeezing and pressing with the air, and you make sure that you're releasing the flow to your face so you don't have to use as much mouthpiece pressure to hold your embouchure together. You're not pushing too much against your face with the air. You find the balance, in other words, then it's easier to make that shift. I'm still not loose with it, but if I practice that a couple of times, that's going to start to come back in. And I might even exaggerate it a little bit. I really don't mean to be showing off. These are things that I do when I practice. And I'm doing it because I need to test the quality of what I'm doing, the limits of my abilities, and where I have good control and where I don't. And then be honest with myself about that. So I'm constantly challenging myself, you might say, in order to find out kind of where I am, and then I know what I need to do next in my warm-up or my setting up drills or in my the things I'm working on in order to try and gain skills on the instrument. What do I need to focus on specifically so that I can develop the skill necessary to do something like that and still have brain power left over to be musically intentional and to hear the harmonic context. So I think you get the idea. So there's a lot more in these than most people realize. You know, they think if they play the notes and they have a certain amount of physical control, that it's great. But you want to take it to the next level, which is physical grace and musical beauty, if at all possible. So I challenge you with that. And if these are too difficult, find things that are easier or play the parts that are more reasonable for you to play. That's my advice for today. I'll let you go and work on it if you have time right now, and if not, I hope that you get to playing the horn sometime soon and enjoy the process as much as I've been enjoying it for all these years. Go do your work, and I'll see you later on. Bye-bye.